السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. نحمده ونصلي على رسول النبي الكريم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. قال الله تعالى في شان حبيبي إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على سيدنا وعلى محمد وعلى آل سيدنا على سيدنا وعلى محمد وبارك وسلم عليه صلاة وسلاما عليك يا سيدي يا رسول الله. Today is the 2nd of Dhul Qa'dah. So this is the 11th month of the Islamic calendar. Next month, of course, is Zil Hajj, which is the month of the Hajj, and then which is the last month of the Islamic calendar. Zil Qa'dah has a lot of significance because it is also the month in which Rasulullah made various umrahs, and also the month in which the Treaty of Hudaybiyah was signed. And we'll go over that somewhat a little later on, because I want to go over, I guess, an aspect of what we alluded to before from a different perspective. Somebody sent me a clip, of this motivational speaker. Everybody's a motivational speaker these days. So they sent me a clip of this motivational speaker, and he's talking about, he calls up some youth from the audience. And he asked for somebody who's 23 and somebody else who was in their 20s, and he stands them up and he says that the Maulvis or the scholars have kind of blinded us, because he says this is the age in which Ali radiallahu anhu killed Walid bin Utbah in the Battle of Badr. And so, see, these are the people that need to be put forward. There is a sense of truth to that, but you get back to that saying of Ali when he was dealing with the Khawarij, kalamatul haq wa yuridul batil, that the statement itself is true, but the inference or what they're inferring or implying by the statement is false. If you look at the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Rasulullah sallallahu, of course, declares prophethood at the age of 40. So Abu Bakr at that time is 38, relatively young. And he, amongst the companions, is probably one of the older companions at that time. Ali is 10. If you look at when Umar became Muslim, he became Muslim 5th year of the mission. So at that time, he's roughly, in his 30s, mid-30s. Uthman also early 30s. Various other companions, 20s, 30s, late teens. So you see all of these companions who are young, but they do so much. Of course, there's a huge difference between them and the youth today. And other than the youth today have nothing better to do than to play video games and have no concept of anything that's going on around them. When we look at Sayyidina Ali, karamallahu wajh. You know, and we look at the Sahaba Ikram in general. They excelled because of their connection to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That was it. Their love of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is what made them excel. And it wasn't just lip service love. It was true love, in the sense that they were literally willing to give up their lives and everything that they had for the honor of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So even though, like when we look at Ali, age-wise, yes, he's young, but he's one of those people that you call an old soul. You know, you see people who, yeah, you know, physically they might be young, but you look at their maturity and everything else, and it's at a totally different level. And this is Ali. That maturity, of course, again, is because of his connection to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I'm not going to get into a lot of the other connections because, you know, we've talked about the hadith which Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal rahmatullah alayhi quotes in two different places, where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says that my nur and the nur of Ali were one until 14,000 years before the creation of Adam alayhi salam. And just the implication of that statement in itself. And according to Imam Ahmad, this hadith is sahih. So, of course, when Ali is born, the first thing, the first one that he sees when he opens his eyes is the face of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because he would not open his eyes until Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam took him in his hand, in his arms. The first nourishment he receives is the saliva directly from the tongue of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because he would not nurse again until he was taken by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And we can't even begin to imagine what all was imparted to him by this. When we look at the Salat of Sayyidina Ali karamallahu wajh, and I'm bringing this up because last couple of weeks I referred to the verse in Surah Ma'idah, verse number 55, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إنما وليكم الله ورسوله والذين آمنوا الذين يقيمون الصلاة ويؤتون الزكاة وهم راكعون. That your friends are only Allah, His Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, those who believe, establish salat, give zakat, and make ruku, or bow. And of course, when we look at the context of the revelation, Ali radhiyallahu gives sadaqah in the condition of ruku in salat. So the meaning or the understanding of the verse from a true meaning standpoint is that those who, that your friends are only Allah, His Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, those who believe, who establish salat and give sadaqah in the condition of humility. So we're going to come back to this condition of salat of Sayyidina Ali karamallahu wajh. When we start our salat, when we say Allahu Akbar the first time, most of us know this as takbir ula, which literally simply means the first takbir. But its technical name is takbir tahrima. Tahrim, like ihram and many other words, are from haram. So when we look, and we will be talking about the Hajj and the Umrah, when you put on the ihram, the two pieces of cloth that you wear when you go for Hajj or for Umrah, why is it called ihram? It's ihram because many things become haram upon you in that condition. Of course, everything that was haram before is still haram. Everything that was prohibited before is still prohibited. But in that condition, now so many things that normally would not be prohibited become prohibited. So when you don that dress, you have to truly become that lover who has lost himself. Can't cut your hair, can't cut your nails, can't put on any perfume, can't cover your head, can't kill anything, not even an ant, not even a fly. All of these things become haram. Same with takbir tahrima. Takbir tahrima means the takbir that makes haram. So when you make your intention for salat and you say Allahu Akbar, now so many things that were normally halal are now haram. You can't talk to anyone. You can't be looking around. You can't be making unnecessary movements. Somebody walks in and says salam, you can't respond to him. You can't eat. So many things, again, that were halal before are now haram. Simply because you did takbir, tahrima. You made that intention and now you locked into salat. You are locked into salat. And from a spiritual standpoint, when you say Allahu Akbar, you raise your hands. What you should be doing is you're removing the world from in front of you. This dunya now is gone. You no longer are in the dunya. You cannot react to anything from the dunya because you're locked in salat. That's it. Now you are in the presence of your Lord, standing before your Lord, praising and glorifying Him. And having a conversation with Him. So again, all of those things that are around you no longer exist for you. This is the spiritual aspect of the initial movement that locks you into salat. And this is again why it's takbir tahrima. The takbir that makes haram. When we look at the salat of Sayyidina Ali karamallahu wajh, the famous incident, which some people may know, some people may not know. In the middle of one of the battles, he's struck by an arrow in the leg. After the battle, they're trying to pull it out. Generally speaking, these were men. They would get hit and they would keep moving. When an arrow would strike, they would break it off so something didn't hit the end, and they kept going until the task was finished. They weren't whips like we are today. So he gets struck by the arrow, he breaks it off, he continues the battle, finishes the battle. After the battle, now they're trying to pull it out. Most of the arrows used in battle were what they call broadheads. So the end is wider, and sharper, so it penetrates more. And plus, once it goes in, now it's hard to pull out. You think about it like a fish hook. It's barbed. Fish hook is barbed, so once it goes in, when it tries to come out, it gets stuck even more. So the same thing with him. It's stuck in his leg. They can't pull it out. It's too painful to pull out. So what does he do? He starts making salat, and they pull it out, and there's no reaction from him. No ow, no movement, nothing. Because this is true salat. This is salat that makes, our sheikh, one of our sheikhs used to say that the dhikr is not dhikr until it makes the one that's being remembered apparent. So this is the salat of Sayyidina Ali karamallahu wajh, that he is truly in the presence of his Lord and nothing else around him exists. He is fulfilling the rights of salat. So when he makes that takbir, the dunya is gone. All of his focus is exactly where it should be. And of course, he of course is our role model. This is what we strive for, knowing full well we will never reach that. But we should still strive for it. If you aim high and you fall short, at least you aimed high and you got somewhere. If your aim is already low, you're not getting anywhere. But now coming back to the incident that we mentioned last week and the week before. Person comes into the court, the masjid of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He's in need and he asks for something. Somebody donate something to him. This is the court of Rahmatul Alameen sallallahu alaihi wasallam. People would come, they would ask for a drop and he would give them a river. At this point, there's nothing to give. No one there, because normally what would happen is somebody would come and ask and one of the companions would stand up and, Ya Rasulullah, from me. They consider that their honor, that Rasulullah would allow them to give something on his behalf. They loved that more than what he left for them. And so this time no one gives. The man is walking out, Sayyidina Ali karamallahu wajh is in salat, in ruku. And the man makes the comment of, I came here and no one gave anything. And Sayyidina Ali karamallahu wajh has this very expensive ring on his small finger, on the pinky of his right hand. In that condition in ruku, he takes it off with the thumb, and he flicks it toward the man, and he motions the man to take it. And as we mentioned last week and the week before, this does not violate the salat of Sayyidina Ali karamallahu wajh. And the reason, of course, is that because he's doing everything for the honor of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So his salat is intact, and not only intact, this is when the verse comes. إِنَّمَا وَلِيُّكُمُ اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا الَّذِينَ يُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ وَيُؤْتُونَ الزَّكَاةَ وَهُمْ رَاكِعُونَ. That your friends are only those. Your only friends are Allah, His Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the believers who establish salat and give zakat in the condition of humility, in ruku. So why in the previous or the later incident, Ali was making salat, they pulled the arrow out and he doesn't even know it. And here Ali was making salat in the condition of ruku, and the man is walking by and he knows everything that's going on, and even to the extent that he takes the ring off his finger and motions the man to take it. Because if takbir tahrima makes you, or rather should make us, and it made Ali unaware of everything from the dunya, then what is the difference? His salat was his salat both times. It was still Ali making salat. There is no difference here. And as I said, he does the action in the first incident because why? To protect the honor of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Otherwise, the man would go out and he would tell the people that I went to the court of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and I didn't get anything, which is an impossibility. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is not of this world. He is in this world, but he is not of this world. Takbir tahrima makes you forget everything of this world. Simple example or simple proof of this is وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that we have not sent you except as a mercy to all of creation. So he was sent to creation. He is creation, but he is not part of the rest of creation. This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that I sent you to creation. Otherwise, where did he come from? Not from the creation. He came from the presence of his Lord. Because he is created before everything else. Before there is time, before there is place. Everything else came after him. He is not of this world, he is in this world. This is also why he says to his companions, one time he's sitting with the companions and he said that that I love three things from your world. He didn't say I love three things from this world or from my world. He said I love three things from your world. And then Abu Bakr, after he says this and he mentions, the perfume and various the other two things, then Abu Bakr says, Ya Rasulullah, I love three things in this world. And he talks about, he says, and of course, being the companion of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that his daughter is the wife of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then in the end, Ali radiallahu, he also says that I love three, all of them. See, Abu Umar radiallahu says, Uthman radiallahu says, and Ali radiallahu says it. Of course, we just finished Ramadan, a little over a month ago. And one of the things that Ali radiallahu says, he says that of the three things that he mentions, he says, I love fasting on a day when it is extremely hot. We are the opposite. We want to fast when it's cloudy and cool. He says, no, he says, I love fasting on the day that is long and extremely hot. Why? Because it reminds him of his Lord. Because if you're fasting, why don't you eat? Even if you're hungry. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, don't eat at this time. Why don't you drink? Even when you're thirsty. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, don't drink at this time. So whether you get hungry or you don't get hungry, on a hot, long day, you're going to get thirsty. And of course, back then, they weren't sitting in air conditioning either. So again, when we look at the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, yes, they were young. And yes, we should inculcate in our youth their love. And not just their love, because love demands so many things. And part of what love demands is also that you know the one that you love. So we can't, think that, just because you're the same age as Ali, you're going to be doing the same things. No. Ali is the door to the city of knowledge. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said what? Ana madinatul ilm wa aliyun babuha. That I am the city of knowledge and Ali is its door. So if we keep our children ignorant, then there is no way that they can be like Ali. And here I'm not talking about knowledge the way we think of knowledge today. Unfortunately, our concept of knowledge is I can rattle off this and I can quote this and that, and have no real understanding of anything. When I look at the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what was their knowledge? They simply looked at Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and they attained the knowledge. What was that knowledge? It was the love of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That in itself is true knowledge, because then that knowledge becomes your teacher. And the interesting thing about true knowledge is that true love is that true love makes you blind and deaf. The true lover is blind to any shortcomings in his beloved, and he is deaf to anyone criticizing his beloved. And when we look at ourselves now, it's a sad condition. We start talking about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and I talk about his perfection, him being sinless, and we'll connect this to when we start talking about Hudaybiyah probably next week. You have people, and I'm not talking non-Muslims. Non-Muslims, that's what you expect. I'm talking about people who are supposed to be Muslim, who try to find fault, not necessarily directly, but indirectly, try to find fault in Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Again, questioning his knowledge, questioning his authority. And then they want to say, oh, I love him because I got a big beard. Big deal. Abu Jahl had a beard. Fir'aun had a beard. The outer aspect may tell you a little bit about what's inside. But why are hypocrites hypocrites? Because what's outside is not a reflection of what is inside. But when you love Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there are two things that are very hard to hide: hate and love. So when you love Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what is inside becomes a reflection outside. And also the reaction when you hear somebody criticizing him, somebody questioning his authority, questioning his knowledge, questioning his being, questioning his perfection. Because he is, as we've talked about so many times before, two words that can summarize, and you can't really summarize him. But two words that we think that when you start going into the details of the words, you start realizing that, you're talking about more than just simple words here. He is Kamal and he is Jamal. He is beauty, he is Kamal, he is perfection, he is Jamal, he is beauty. And he is the beauty of perfection, and he is the perfection of beauty. And, which is sad, and as I said, I'll get into this next week when we talking about Hudaybiyah, because after the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, you have the revelation of Surah Fath, which is Surah number 48. And the way people translate the first two verses of that surah is amazing. You pick up 99% of the translations, they omit a specific word that changes the understanding of the verse. So, inshallah, I'll end here today. We will next week start talking about Hudaybiyah, and Ali RA, of course, is also connected to that as well, because he's the one who will be writing the treaty, which is also interesting what he does as he's writing the treaty. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us and fill our hearts with His true love and the true love of His beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his family, his companions, and all of those whom they love. And may He give victory and strength and to our brothers and sisters in Gaza over those that are their oppressors. And may He allow the Muslims to wake up out of this coma and to realize to see the reality of everything that's going on around us. Those who have not made sunnah, go and make sunnah, inshallah.